South Africa, Africa, the world. This is it. The time has arrived. Habashwe, join us. Come with us. Now, from Friday the 18th of September, 20 countries will be vying for a spot in that final at Twickenham to win the Rugby World Cup, the 8th edition. SABC 2 is the home of Habashwe. No fewer than 29 live matches. From a radio perspective, our brands will keep covered commentary from beginning all the way to the end of the tournament. And of course, the continent's biggest news service will make sure that you don't miss a single thing, a single story. Welcome to it. I just have one question for you. Are you with us? Now, we've got a very special group of guests here today. But I think before we do anything else, I'd like to acknowledge our Minister of Communications, Faith Mutambi. A big round of applause for her. And then I want you to give us a massive roar and make some noise and welcome to the brand new set and also to all our guests. So everybody in the background, just a big round of applause for our guests and what is going to be a fantastic set. Now, all the introductions have been done, all protocol observed. It's time for me to first of all speak to a gentleman who every time I see him reminds me of where I've been. I think now that I'm here, you need to let me know where I am going. And Mr. Claudio Motsoeneng, COO of the SABC, welcome.
Thank you very much, Udo, and welcome to SABC. Now we are an employee of the SABC. SABC is a good employer.
I've got to say this thing. I'm incredibly impressed that since I've arrived, you have spared absolutely no expense with the set that we have for the Rugby World Cup. So I want to thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And before we go anywhere else, please introduce me to Thomas. I was hearing about Thomas a little bit earlier here. Which one is Thomas?
I don't think they are Thomas anymore now. They can
there we
see
go.
the
There we go. You mentioned a little bit earlier, sir, about having been around the world, having seen what technology is out there. Talk to us about just how special the set is when you compare it to what else is out there.
I think what is more important is when you see the set itself. I mean, it's wonderful. It's more attractive because you can't separate content and technology. They go hand in hand, so that when you are on air, people can see that our technology is more exciting. If you see the sets here, the colors, the sets, the lights, they just change. I mean, you can set the lights, whether blue, whatever color that you need, you are able to do that. For us, it is very exciting. And, Habashwe, we are going to kill people, I'm telling you.
Now, I want to invite you to take a special picture because we also, for the first time, have augmented reality, where graphic elements, what you would normally see on the screen, the group fixtures, the results and so forth, and also potentially any one of our leaders here today posing with the World Cup. You could quite easily start that off and start the show off for us. So I want to invite you to a special session to do just that, Mr. Motsoeneng. And before we let you go, just very quickly, your thoughts on the Rugby World Cup. It's an important 39 days starting on Friday. The pride of our nation is there. What message do you want to send to the Springboks?
I want to agree with the CFO. The race is how you start the race, is how you end the race. They have not been doing very well pre-matches, but I think now they are ready, and the World Cup is coming to South Africa.
Well, there we go. Big round of applause for that. And of course, the hope is that come 39 days from the 18th of September, we will be in that final at Twickenham and we will be winning our third historic World Cup. Now, the test side is out. We're going to chat with our analysts, with our guests a little bit later. And man, oh man, do we have a panel of people who will break down every single element of the Rugby World Cup for you. So let's introduce you to some of them right now. And I want to start off on the far side of the table because fate is a really strange mistress. This man held his arm up high before we crossed the try line to go and score in our very first World Cup in 1995. And then he stood up for a friend of his, a colleague of his against Canada. And of course, unfortunately, was suspended, didn't make it into the final, didn't get the Rugby World Cup medal. So if there's anybody we need to win this World Cup for, Peter Hendricks, welcome.
Thank you, Udo. I believe that our guys will win it for us, and for Minister that's here, that's why I'm wearing my pink tie.
Pink, they say, is a sign of strength. So good to have you here. We're going to go through a little bit of what we can expect. But our next guest, I think the only other person other than Victor Matfield that's on the speed dial of singer Kurt Darren, an absolute legend in the the nation's capital, Pretoria, a man who set a record in Currie Cup rugby as the first black South African to reach the milestone of 100 matches in Currie Cup level. And like I said, absolute South African rugby legend. These days, paying it forward in building the future youth of South Africa, Mr. John Mametsa.
Thank you, Udo. It's good to be here.
I'm looking at a team sheet here, and boys, we need to have a serious conversation about this team that Heineke Meyer has announced. I'm going to save that a little bit because I want to introduce our next guest. And he was there in '95, didn't get into too much trouble, Peter, and held on, got into the final and won himself a World Cup medal. Henny Leroux, welcome.
Thank you very much, Udo.
If we look, now we're talking rugby, if we look at the squad that is gone, a lot of people have spoken about how injured some of the players are, have spoken about how old some of the players are. In fact, the team that will be playing on Saturday is the most experienced South African team to have ever played in a Rugby World Cup. The last time we played in the quarterfinals against Australia, that's the record that has now been eclipsed. Is that team too old, Henny?
Well, there are going to be questions surrounding that, and I think managing the players is going to be a critical factor for the coaching staff. You know, a lot of us sitting on the outside are having a look at this and saying, well, there are some real concerns about it. But managing the number of players that play in these teams in terms of reaching to the final is a little bit concerning. Just considering that the last 3 games is a mark-up to the final. And if you are aging 35, 36, you're in pain usually from Saturday through to Tuesday, Wednesday. But I'm certain that we've got a very good medical team out there, and I'm confident that they will be able to put the right side together.
Peter, Henny's being very diplomatic here. I just want to get a sense from you. Jean de Villiers, up until a couple of weeks ago, our captain, was still taking fluids through a straw. We understand that he's fully recovered now. Would he be your captain going to the Rugby World Cup?
I must be honest, he wouldn't have. I think speed kills. I don't think it's only his physical condition is in. I think it's the form is in. The conditioning is in is most probably one of the best of his lifetime, but the form is in. I think he's lacking at the moment, and I think he's lacking speed. So our boss just said the Boks are going to kill, and we all know that speed kills. So I think we're lacking a little bit of speed.
And John, to you. If I look at the group that South Africa's in, it's probably the best preparation we can get for the knockouts, because we've got a game against Japan that we open up where we can really give the injured players back into the fold. We've got the Samoans who are going to be physically intimidating. You've got Scotland with a more structured European style. And then, you know, we finish off against the USA that we're not quite sure what we're going to get from them. This group phase is setting us up perfectly for the knockouts, don't you think?
Well, it is. I think we're playing the teams that we're playing in our group matches. We've never lost against them, and we shouldn't even worry about losing against those teams. And the big worry is you're going to play easy teams, so-called easy teams in the group phase. Come quarterfinal time, you're playing against the number 2 team, which might be Australia. Are we going to be up for that? So we mustn't cruise into the quarterfinals. We must take our games very seriously when it comes to preparing for the quarterfinals.
Well, there we go. We'll come back to our guests in just a bit, but we've been boasting all morning long about what the studio can do. We've been telling you how different it is from what we've been doing before. And I think time to put you and put the studio through its paces, because across the World Cup, like I said, this notion of augmented reality where the world of graphics, scores, fixtures, results no longer live as a separate part of the studio. It lives right here in this very special studio. And you will be seeing them on the screen right now as we're going through some of the graphics. You'll see represented on the screens there, our teams will be coming through in a way that you've never seen them before. Gone are the days of the little stick figure men, flat 2-dimensional pictures. And of course, the whole idea behind this, as much as the Rugby World Cup is the starting point for this technology, it's going to be synced into all the other areas of programming in South Africa. And there's our wonderful Victor Matfield, gents, and I'm sure he's looking perhaps a little bit stronger than he is at the World Cup right now, but we are 150% behind our boys at the World Cup. Now, we know that our Minister of Sport is somebody who loves tweeting prodigiously. I see some of the other cabinet members are catching up quite nicely. So we've got some fantastic technology to not only give a platform for the likes of our Minister of Sport to be tweeting every single day about the Boks. We know what he said when they departed. I don't think I can repeat those words on television right now. But we're looking forward to interacting with the nation through the medium of social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. So if that is the technology that you use, bring that into the conversation on a daily basis in the next 39 days, of course, starting on the 18th of September. So we're looking forward to be engaging with you on all those levels and, of course, using the technology that puts us, as the SABC, as the Abashwe campaign, amongst the leaders in world sports broadcasting. And as I said earlier, of course, the news presented at SABC, presided over by Mr. Jimmy Matthews, they will be bringing you every single angle on every game all the way through the World Cup. So once again, those graphics that we have, you'll see the various teams in the groups. That's one of the pools at the World Cup there, of course, and it's Pool A, Australia, England. This is the one that we need to worry about. Quick little thought here, Henny, if I may. Do you want to play a quarter-final against Australia or against England?
Oh, now you're throwing the cat amongst the pigeons. But look, I think Australia are a lot more structured in their approach. England have got the home ground advantage. So either of those two sides are going to be difficult, but I'd probably want to go for England.
Your thoughts, Peter?
Yeah, I
You
think,
want to take on the host nation at home in the quarterfinals?
Yeah, I would rather play them. Number 2 in the world, Australia. I think they've beaten us, and they've beaten us well in the past, and they know how to beat us. Where England has struggled a little bit more against us. So I'm going to agree with Henny on this one. It's not always that we agree, but on this one I will agree.
John, any chance of Wales making it out of that group?
No, I don't think so. They've lost a good 9 and good 15, so I think they won't make it in the top 2, so I don't give them a chance.
Okay, well, there we go. Now, besides the augmented reality, we also, as I said now, will be engaging with you via Twitter, via social media platforms, and we've brought specialists in the field to bring you that communication, to be running that communication on a daily basis. And you know her as an afternoon drive host on SAFM of Sport. Lizette Khan is with us. I'm going to let you, Lizette, run through the wonderful technology, the touchscreen technology that we're going to be using during World Cup 2015.
Well, you know, the nice thing about 1995 was the fact that, of course, we had not just the people at the stadium that were basically cheering on for the Boks. We had basically the whole nation doing that. And that was great about the World Cup coming to the SABC, is that we can now engage the entire nation and have this touchscreen that is available. Like you said, social media is a great platform for us to be able to interact, be able to talk about those things that we really need to talk about and have those conversations. So we've got this wonderful touchscreen that we are going to be using for the World Cup. It gives us a whole variety of different options that we can make use of. Of course, it doesn't always work when you want it to, so let's see if it is going to work this time around. We'll keep it updated as it goes along, but here we go. So we've got our match sensor, which is basically going to be taking us through the games that we have at the various stages, and also going to tell us what the current match is. Of course, this is the South Africa-Japan. That game is going to be taking place on the 19th of September. So it'll bring you basically what is happening at that particular stage, and if we just go back, we've also got the different pools. Pool A, Pool B, Pool C. Pool A has been known as the group of death, of course. We are in Pool B, so let's see who are the other teams that we are taking on. USA, Samoa, South Africa, Japan. We're going to be able to get fixtures and results as well as the standings of the different pools. Now, just looking back, we also, of course, are going to be doing something that's very, very, very interesting, and that is social media. Social media is very, very important for us. We're going to be on Twitter. It's not at this stage going to be monitored, but definitely we will be giving you all the information live as it happens. We'll be talking to you, so please, please do take the opportunity to speak to us. And then, of course, we are also going to be making use of Facebook. Send us those pictures, send us the messages. We want everybody to be involved because we are the nation that is behind the Springboks and that is behind this World Cup.
Well, there we go. Lizette Khan, thank you very much. And social media puts you in the world and brings the world into yours. So whether you've got family over in the UK or anywhere watching the Springboks, making sure that their pride is behind that team as well, then by all means, get them. #Abashwe, and we'll be giving you more hashtags and handles throughout the tournament. Of course, we'll engage with our various panelists as well through social media. The promise we're making here is that you can actually have a daily conversation with us. The conversation's happening at homes all around the country during the Rugby World Cup. We'll be engaging with you on that level and bringing it into the show right here. So you've seen our augmented reality. You've seen our touchscreen. You've heard from some of our analysts. There is, of course, the fourth estate, which is the media. And we are going to be bringing you a sense of the journalists who are coming along for the ride at the Rugby World Cup. But we also want to introduce you, because besides the radio, the television platforms, and everywhere else that we are covering the Rugby World Cup on, we've also got fantastic teams in the UK itself, bringing you live updates and staying close to that Springbok team as they make their way all the way to Twickenham, hopefully come 6 matches later, the Rugby World Cup final, of course. Now, let's move across to the gentleman on my far side here, because these are the gentlemen, some of them analysts, but also members of the media, who I suppose have to nurture the kind of relationships with the rugby players, with the coaches, to get the stories out of them. One of our members of the media panel, and we have an extreme media panel with us as well, is Johan Leroux. Johan Leroux from Radio 2000. Good to have you here, mate. Are you well?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
Are you looking forward to the Rugby World Cup, though?
I can't wait for the World Cup. I think the World Cup is so special because it only comes along every 4 years. So I think the next 7 weeks are, the whole country is going to be focused on rugby, and I think it's going to be absolutely phenomenal.
I want to introduce you to another former Bok as well, a man who has given us fantastic moments on and off the field, and these days as the man in charge of South African Rugby Legends, an organisation doing fantastic things. A big round of applause as well for Stefan Terblanche. Now, you're wearing your green colours very proudly today. We shared thoughts on that starting 15 of Annika Meyers on Saturday. Your thoughts of what the coach has chosen?
Yes, an interesting selection. I think we don't always agree, but who does? I think if we select our team within his room, not one of us will have the same team. I'm very interested to see Zane Kersner at fullback, and of course Jean de Villiers back in the team, to the expense of Damien Dalende. It's interesting to see how he and Kriel gets along. We hope he slots in seamlessly, because he's been injured for a while, and the centre pairing of Dalende and Kriel has played exceptionally well, so it's a big call by Meyer.
Now, no disrespect to anybody who's from Kimberley, but I don't know of many people who choose to move from Port Elizabeth to the Groot Gat of Kimberley. So I want to welcome a man now who made that decision, but it was the best decision he could make for his rugby career. A giant man who does not greet you without hurting you. Tando Manana.
Good afternoon, Udo, and also good afternoon to the guests that have come to witness.
I've been having a chat probably with you more than any of the other analysts, and I know you're excited about the Rugby World Cup, but I know that you have your own thoughts about the way perhaps things should have been done. In your mind, name a player or two players who are desperately unlucky to not be in that squad of 31.
Well, I'll give you one. Lionel Mapu. I know a lot of people have been speaking about Elton Jantjies, but I feel that that's a position that is well covered, in terms of the South African team. I mean, a player like Lionel Mapu gives you a lot in terms of the team. Yes, you have a Jesse Kriel, but I think he also covers in terms of centres, inside, outside, and also at wing. And for me, he's been the best player in the Super Rugby, but I think he made a good decision to just say, look, he goes back and he's going to look himself in the mirror, and he's gone to Japan. And I think we're not going to lose a talent like Lionel Mapu. 2019 is around the corner. Japan will be there, and definitely he will be part of that Rugby World Cup squad.
Here we go. And then one more man I need to introduce you to. And I think, Mr. COO, you were chatting or talking about him a little bit earlier. Another man who breaks your hand when he greets you. Somebody who is amongst 31 men who know exactly what happened in the bush in Tabazimbi back in 2003. Who knows exactly what happened during Kamp Staaldraad. I wonder, Lawrence Mpaka, first of all, welcome.
Thank you very much, everyone. Hello to everyone as well.
Did you shoot the chicken or cook the chicken?
No, I taught Joe Faniker how to slaughter a chicken. Not strangle it.
I can't wait, because I'm sure it's going to be a reference point across the World Cup, as you will be part of it as an analyst as well. This whole notion of kampstaldraad and what a team should do before they go to the World Cup. But your thoughts on our preparation? We haven't really won a match except for the game against Argentina going to the Rugby World Cup. Everybody says a bad Super Rugby is not bad for the Boks, but surely the running that we had in the Rugby Championships is not the best start. It's not what we wanted.
No, certainly, considering what his words were when he selected a team, he's selecting the best players that have performed very well from Super Rugby. Now, to go and play for the Springboks, not perform very well, is kind of contradicting. But on the other side as well, you want to go to the World Cup confident, but now I think his plan is to go under the radar, not to be as a favorite team, because the pressure is on New Zealand, because they're the favorite team. Everyone is expecting him to win everything. Now, going as an underdog, you sort of, away from the limelight, everyone is going to like, okay, let's see what they do now. Oh no, they're coming along. So he's put himself in a comfortable position to set him up when it comes to the playoffs, that he actually excels. Hopefully that plan is kind of what we're going to be experiencing as the games goes on.
Well, there we go. Now we've introduced you to most of our panel, our analysts, our journalists, the people driving the technology. We even have the CEO of SABC along for the ride. Time now for me to introduce you to, and that's right, we've got two teams out in the UK making sure that the Springboks can't breathe without thinking about the SABC and the Abashwe campaign. So let's move over now to the UK and find out what our intrepid duo, one of them I know, Mac Messina, has been incredibly busy out in the UK getting us ready for the Rugby World Cup. Mac, good to hear from you.
Well, good morning, Udo, and good morning, South Africa. Yes, we are reporting live from UK in Brighton. Well, this is where we're going to be bringing you all the exciting stuff. But of course, the main important thing, it's all about the Rugby World Cup 2015. But with me, I'm not all by myself. I've got a lovely, gorgeous Veli.
Oh, thank you very much for the compliment, Mac. You're not looking too bad yourself. Well, I'm standing outside in the rather grey and wet weather, but we're getting used to it. Behind me is the famous Brighton Pier, and right here is where they're going to be having the city's fan festival for the Rugby World Cup. I can't wait to bring you all of the stories from in and around England. You heard me right. We are going to be travelling the entire country. How are we going to do that, you ask? Well, Mac, you're sitting in it.
Oh yes, Veli, you're right. I'm the fortunate one because I'm sitting right inside it now. Well, after 10.5 hours of flying inside the plane, well, it was time now just to get to the business. And of course, looking at our moving studio, but the main thing was our icon of the red London bus.
Polly the Play Bus, as it's named by our driver Joe, was not only going to get us to the 10 towns and cities that we will be broadcasting live from during our trip to the UK, but it was transformed into a working broadcast hub over 2 days in Brighton, our first destination, and a perfect start too in a place known for its partying.
I've got two of these. One's called Dolly the Decker and the other one's called Polly the Play Bus. The bus was originally built as an airport bus for Heathrow Airport. It used to bring British European Airways passengers out from the West London Air Terminal to Heathrow to catch flights for Europe. And it was in service doing that for about, it was built in 1967. I think it came out of service in about 1979. It went into London Transport for a bit, and then it became the London Borough of Ealing Playbus. And that's why it's called a playbus.
Can it carry all of these rowdy South Africans that have just landed here in London? Cameraman, do you just want to reveal some of our crew? These are the people that are going to be bringing you our SABC Sports and SABC broadcasts from England, and we're looking really forward to doing it. And we're going to be travelling cross-country in this guy, Polly the Party Bus. 80 kilometers per hour. It's going to be a very scenic drive. Come along. For the duration of our stay here in the UK, we're going to be looking at the towns and landmarks through South African tinted glasses, but we're also going to be bringing you the latest from the team camps with reports from Simon Burke, Mac and myself. First up, let's take a look at what the Springboks and Japan's Brave Blossoms have to say heading into Saturday's match.
Unlike their first opponent in Pool B, the Springboks are staying almost an hour outside of the city in Eastbourne. Here they are fully focused on their opener, Japan.
One wants to play in the World Cup. This is the biggest stage of them all when it comes to rugby. So at this point in time, I'm very excited and just can't wait for myself to get the opportunity to be able to run into the field and play.
Obviously, we're just looking forward to get the competition started. You know, this last month feels like such a long preparation period. So we're really looking forward to this weekend, you know, playing Japan. You know, there's no such thing as the easy rugby game. Sometimes the scoreboard might favour you. Me and Furi obviously have been playing a bit of rugby over in Japan as well.
Who are yet to win a World Cup match. On the other hand, they are in the shape of their lives and hoping to write the new World Cup history.
Our strategy, play our style of football, don't get bogged down with the slow, forward-oriented game that they play, and that's probably about as much as I can give you.
And of course, we're going to be bringing all the exciting matches and exciting things that are happening right there in the UK. But for now, stay tuned. We'll be back with you.
Well, there we go, Mac. Thank you very much. As you can tell from that insert, they've sent all the pretty people to the UK and they've left the ogres and the beasts back in studio here. But we're looking forward to be bringing you the rugby perspectives right here from our beautiful studios. Now, Mr. Motsoeneng, before we go anywhere else, I do want to ask you, it is an extensive team bringing the Rugby World Cup to South Africa this year.
I'm very excited that we have such a wonderful team within the organization. And credit should go to Bessie and Jimmy. I think they have done well. Credit also should go to the man called Padayachi. Can you stand up, Padayachi? Because he's in charge for technology. He's the one who's acting as head of technology. He has done a wonderful job. I mean, it's exciting to see such a studio, especially SABC. It is wonderful. I don't have words. Even my friends there, they know I'm beating them big time. What can I say?
Okay, so we'll get some more perspectives from you after the break, right? I'm giving an opportunity to people on the floor here to actually come and ask their questions and interact as well. So stay tuned for that. Before we go, gentlemen, score predictions from you very quickly for that Japan game. Put your head on the block right now. Let's start off perhaps with Peter on the far side. Give me a quick score prediction.
57-18.
John Mametsa?
Difference should be 50 points difference.
And then Henny?
42-12.
Can't believe we got the predictions from them so early, because normally we have long discussions before they do it. So, you know, it's interesting and special times. Right, after the break, we'll hear from the folks in the studio on our floor here this afternoon, and they'll be interacting with various guests. So stay tuned for that.
How about you, let's do this.
Can you feel the vibe as we begin to rise? Faces to the sky, our voices come alive. Everyone unite. This is the time right now. We begin to sing. Everybody dance. Can you feel the heat? This is your moment now. Everybody wave your flag. Wave your flag. Wave your, wave your, wave, 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 wave.
sacrifice wena ikana mang ikana mamang kamang udi my tsana in the game nte ke go bitse ka maina mafatswa your name ona ka di motsoko diana ka di thulaka kana ka dinka anare we ipona jaka setšhaba se go bona thupa sefoka ke tla go thabela kgomo e nonneng le ratu le le tshwana re bidise kana tshoto tinggemere le dikuku ke moletlo le kane mogaka ba fentse kwantweng to ya diraga di bo
Get behind Rugby World Cup 2015 on SABC.
Welcome back, a special broadcast here on Channel 404, giving you a sneak preview of the World Cup, the Rugby World Cup facility that we'll be using here at the SABC as part of the Habashwe campaign. Now, I think our COO will be very happy that all the Thomases have left, because there are no further questions from the doubters. So I'm going to wrap up with our panel here with a couple of questions before we go. So the kind of rugby that you're expecting from Heyneke Meyer, Peter Hendricks, because we've almost seen horses for two courses across the rugby championships.
Yeah, I think, Udo, this World Cup, it's not going to be a running World Cup. I think it's going to come down to the kicking game. Reason being, firstly, the conditions in Europe. We saw what it's already looking over there. So in any day you can pick a wet day. So the kicking game is going to be crucial. And then also the preparation of the teams. I think the fence, everybody's going to be geared up in defence. It's going to be very difficult to break the lines and to just start and run and play this beautiful, exciting game of rugby. And the guys are so much more motivated. So the kicking game, I think, is going to be critical. And that's maybe why Hanneke has gone for Ruan Pienaar and Fourie de Pre.
Now, I want to go to our panellists on the couch as well, because I've got backs and forwards, but not a lock in the mix here. Just very quickly, Tando, if I can come to you, the closest thing here as a flanker. I'm sure you doubled up as a bit of a lock, as you're a fairly tall man. If you look at what Heyneke Meyer has done for that opening game, Francie Lowe, Victor Matfield, Lood de Jager, at 5 and 4. Victor, crucial, the experience is there, but Lood de Jager has justified his presence in this team.
Yeah, look, he's always done so ever since making his debut against Scotland. And I think he's also proven, to all those armchair critics that, he's in the mix. He's a robust lock forward. He comes from Bloemfontein, so they made very hard in that part of the world, the City of Roses. And I think in terms of the tight five, it's going to be crucial, not only for Japan. I mean, I hear my other colleagues they speak about, Japan 50-40. It's not going to be easy. I think what's important is a tight five that is able to dominate all teams. We've got Samoa. We need continuity from the first game against Japan. And also, Luot is a youngster, but he gives you a bit of positive energy that he can sort of extract from the Victor Matfield of these worlds.
Looking about as young as Pat Lambie, Johan Leroux, as part of our journalistic panel here, at number 10, to start off in the first game, is that the sign of things to come, or is this going to be a once-off with the blue-eyed boy Andre Pollard coming back for that second game?
I would hope that it's a sign of things to come, because Pat Lambie has shown over the last season that his kicking to goal has been outstanding. And just watching over the last few weeks, preparing for the Rugby World Cup, watching past Rugby World Cups, how many times did it not come down to a single drop goal or to a single penalty kick? And I think we really need someone who doesn't miss or who kicks them 9 out of 10 times. So I really think Pat Lambie is the right man for number 10 at the moment. But I actually don't know what Heineke Meyer is going to do in the future. I don't think anybody in this room knows what Heineke Meyer will do. And I do think Andre Pollard will still have a good role to play at the World Cup.
Lawrence Sepak, I want to hear from you. Have we got depth in that front row?
I mean, we're sitting with 6 props, so I think that the depth is enough. And those guys will have enough rolling subs as well, because they're getting game time every time. So if you don't finish 80-minute one game, so it means that last 30 minutes is going to be taken by another prop to carry it on. The next game, you're still fresh to go, unless you're completely injured. But I think in terms of prop, I think we're in good nick there. In terms of performances, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be wet, so scrummaging is going to be required. And looking at the European teams, they thrive off those wet weathers. They actually know how to operate in them as well. We're not so good at it because we don't have a lot of wet surfaces. So our guys are big. But now to be able to control that soil in terms of scrumming, changing your feet and stuff, is going to be a new challenge as well.
Stefan, I want to come back to ask you a question that I asked earlier. There's no doubt we're going to get out of this group. But in the quarterfinals, would you rather have the home nation or Australia?
It's such a difficult one to answer, but I do think that we'll play England. I think Australia, I'm very worried about them. They've been playing well. They've got a great coach in Cheika. The team's coming together nicely. The 2 World Cups they've won in 1991 and in 99. They won in Europe, in the UK. So I'm worried about them. I think they'll be a real threat, and I think we'll play England in the quarterfinals.
Well, there we go. So wrapping up here from our very special studios, of course, in Auckland Park. This will be the home of Habashwe. From Friday the 18th, this is where we'll be for the next 39 days. And it is going to be a fantastic time. We've introduced you to some of our cast members. Oh, believe me, there are plenty more who will be joining us over the next few weeks as we hopefully watch South Africa go through 3 group matches, a quarter-final, a semi-final, and hopefully eventually into the final at Twickenham at the end of October. So I want you along for the ride. SABC wants you along for the ride. The talking is done now. It's time for us to do this. A reminder, of course, SABC2, your home of Habashwe. All the radio platforms will be giving you dedicated Rugby World Cup content. You'll have Mhlobo Wenene giving you commentary all the way through the tournament, and the continent's biggest news service making sure that you don't miss a thing. I think after all has been said and done, it's only fitting then we end with a little bit of a toast. So for you guys, thank you very much for joining us. Be here on Friday for the opening ceremony, for the opening game, England versus Fiji. And then on Saturday, it's going to be a cracker. South Africa opening up its World Cup campaign against Japan. Guys, I think give us the champagne. We will pop it on the table here and have a great time. Thank you very much for joining us. Catch us for the opening game on SABC2 right here on Friday. You don't want to miss this. South Africa, Africa, the world, I say it again. Are you with us? Because if you are, it's time to do this. Habashwe. So there we go, the bubbles being popped.
I think what we'll do is we'll just shoot it in that direction.
We do want the sound of champagne popping on here, of course. Peter, you do the honors.
Be careful with the set.
Away from the lights, please. If I can ask our Minister of Communications, Faith Mutambi, to come and join us. And all our special guests, join us on set. Mr. Mutsunek, join us, guys. Come and join us on this side.
Stand up. Let me pour.
Let's do this.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for joining us here today. Yes.
Yeah, no. The first thing I'm going to
The radio is up and running. Haba shwe.